Have you ever noticed that anxiety never actually comes from what you think it comes from? Not the email you're dreading, not the conversation you keep postponing, not even the uncertainty about money or health or what people think of you. Those are the symptoms. But the Stoics, 2,000 years ago, identified the actual disease. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's the diagnosis in one sentence. You are burning your mental energy trying to control things that were never yours to control. That's it. That's the whole thing. I want you to think about the last time anxiety really took hold of you. Not a passing worry. I mean the kind that follows you into sleep, that's already running when you wake up at 3 a.m. What was it about, if you're honest? It was probably about an outcome. Whether someone would say yes or no. Whether something would work out. Whether people would approve. Whether things would be fair. And here's what none of us are taught to notice. Not one of those things is actually in your hands. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was literally born a slave, figured this out the hard way. He wrote, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." That sentence is so simple, it sounds useless. But I want to stay with it for a second, because most of us don't actually believe it. We act like if we worry hard enough, we can bend outcomes. Like anxiety is somehow productive, like the mental rehearsal of worst-case scenarios is preparation. It isn't. It's just suffering in advance. Here's where it gets practical, because Stoicism isn't just philosophy. It's a tool. Epictetus laid out exactly what is and isn't in your control. Within your power, your judgments, your effort, how you prepare, how you respond, not within your power. Other people's decisions, outcomes, reputation, how you're perceived. The moment you actually divide your day into those two buckets, just for one day, something weird happens. You realize how much of your mental energy is flowing into the wrong bucket. I did this once with a job application I was anxious about. I sat down and listed everything I was worried about. Then I went through the list and asked, is this mine to control? Whether they like me? No. Whether the budget even exists for this role? No. Whether another candidate applied yesterday who's more qualified? No. My preparation, how I show up, how I communicate, yes, completely. The anxiety didn't vanish, but it got focused. Instead of a fog, it became a list of things I could actually do something about. That's the shift. Now here's where Seneca takes this further, and this is the part most people miss. Seneca noticed that the suffering we feel rarely comes from events themselves. It comes from our story about the events. A project gets canceled. The event is neutral, but our mind immediately starts narrating. This means I'm failing. This means I made the wrong choice. This means things are falling apart. That story, not the cancellation, is what produces the anxiety. Seneca's practice was brutal in its simplicity. When something went wrong, he refused to ask, why did this happen to me? He asked instead, what is the one thing I can do right now, given what's true? That single question change of direction redirects the entire river of your mental energy. And he went further. He said setbacks aren't just neutral, they're actually useful. Not in a toxic positivity way. He had lived through exile and would eventually face execution. He wasn't pretending. He meant that your capacity for resilience, for wisdom, for real strength can only be built through resistance. The same way muscle only grows when it's pushed. You cannot develop a character that can handle difficulty by avoiding difficulty. Marcus Aurelius understood this at scale. He was running the Roman Empire during plague and war, and he chose every single morning to prepare his mind before the world got to it first. He'd sit, often in a military camp before dawn, and mentally walk through what the day might bring, not to spiral, to prepare. The Stoics call this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of difficulties. You visualize the hard conversation, the bad news, the frustrating person, not to catastrophize, to desensitize, so that when it arrives, your nervous system doesn't register it as a surprise. What I started doing, and this is almost embarrassingly simple, is spending 5 minutes in the morning before I open my phone, asking 3 questions. What might be difficult today? What's actually in my control about it? What would I want my response to look like? That's it. 5 minutes. No phone, no news, no external input. The anxious brain is a brain that hasn't been briefed. Marcus understood that. He didn't let the day brief him. He briefed himself first. I was in a coffee shop a few weeks ago when an email came in that would have wrecked my whole day a year ago. A project I'd been building for months was getting shelved. Budget cuts. I felt the hit, a knot in my chest, that familiar tightening. But then something different happened, almost automatic at this point. My mind ran the check. Is the budget decision mine to control? No. Is how I respond mine to control? Completely. Within about 30 seconds I was writing a list, not to suppress the disappointment. I felt that, but to redirect the energy. Portfolio update. 2 conversations I'd been putting off, a skill I'd been meaning to develop, the anxiety that would have owned me for 2 days just didn't land the same way. That's not a personality trait. It's a trained response. And like any training, it starts awkward and becomes automatic. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that Stoic-based exercises can produce measurable reductions in anxiety symptoms in as little as 8 days of consistent practice, not months, 8 days. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal is to stop letting your feelings operate without supervision. Marcus Aurelius felt things. Seneca felt things. Epictetus, who had every reason in the world to be bitter, felt things. They just refused to hand the wheel over. That's the whole practice, not cold detachment, not suppression. Just who's driving? If you want to start today, do this one thing. Tonight, before you sleep, take 5 minutes and write down the thing you're most anxious about right now. Then draw a line down the middle of the page. Left side, everything about it that's within your control. Right side, everything that isn't. Look at the right side. That's what anxiety is running on. You can't fix that column. You can stop pouring energy into it. Look at the left side. That's your actual job. The Stoics weren't trying to create people who feel nothing. They were building people that nothing could break, that's still available to you. It always has been. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom that actually works in a modern world. And if this one hit home, watch the Marcus Aurelius morning routine video next.